Hi guys, I'm kinda back. I've been seeing a few videos that I've felt I wanted to respond to, so that's drawn me out of my shell to come and do a few more videos for you. Yay! This one was one started by Cassandra Tarot, and she was talking about the tarot decks that surprised her in a good way. Decks that she thought she might not get on with, maybe the imagery wasn't quite right, and then when she actually got around to using them, she was amazed at how well she connected with them, how well they spoke to her. And the reason I particularly wanted to respond to that video is because the first deck she spoke about was a deck that I had a similar reaction to, although not quite in the same way. I have to confess I haven't actually used this deck very much. I got it a while ago, and I did, well, you'll see what I did to it with it shortly. But I didn't really get a chance to use it, and then I kind of got a few more decks, and it's kind of sat by the wayside. And to be honest, actually, I'm working with some decks that I've had for a while that I've wanted to really focus on and work with. So all of my nice new shiny decks are kind of sitting there in their boxes looking at me going, when you can play with me? So I feel really bad about that, but they're mine. I have them. I'll get to them eventually. But this one, I won't show it to you yet. It started out on Instagram. I happened to find some posts by an Italian card reader. I'm not going to attempt the name, although it's actually Latin rather than Italian, but I will post the details in the description box down below, and a link to Cassandra's tarot, that's not what I meant to say, video as well. And they were posting these daily cards, and I didn't really recognize the cards, but I liked the imagery. It was sort of Victorian, angel-y, pretty stuff. Not really my cup of tea, but I quite liked it. And just a single title of a card in Italian, and nothing else. A little square, you know, your typical Instagram square images. And I thought, oh, these are really nice, and I like the fact that the suits had been renamed. So they were Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles became action, emotions, thought, and abundance. That was it. And some of you who know this deck will now know what deck I'm talking about. And I was quite taken with them. The images and just the very simple titles. And I thought, well, you know, I'd kind of like to have that deck. I wonder what that deck is. And then I, you know, went off and did a million other things as you do. And then one day somebody posted a picture of Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine's Guardian Angel Tarot. And I looked at this image and I thought, I recognize that. I'm sure that's when it straight back to Instagram, checked it out. And they're not actually using that deck anymore. They're using a different deck. But I checked recently, about 6 weeks ago, and for several weeks going back, they were using this deck consistently. And I realized that was the deck. And all they'd done was they just cropped the image, so that all you had was the picture and the title. And I thought, I'm going to have one of those decks. That's kind of fun. And I went out and I bought it. Quite cheap. It wasn't a particularly expensive one. And that's what I did with it. And I pretty much did the same thing. Hang on, we're going to do this because I always want to do this with my left hand, and that's awkward. I mean, there you go. There's an example. I didn't cut mine quite square, and so you can see a little bit of the text. Where am I? At the bottom there, which I can quite happily ignore. Unlike Cassandra, I really don't want the text on there. I would have found that extremely distracting. I liked it without. But the reason I couldn't cut all of it off is because there's one card, which I have put aside for demonstration purposes, has a 2-line title. So that was the shortest that I could cut any of the cards. So they're all kind of cut. And some of them had a lot of text, and so it sort of pushed the title up the image a bit. There we go. So you can see a couple of lines. But I can ignore that. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. I cut the sides down as well so that there's not so much of the border on the cards. You've just got more of the image. But I really like it. Now, I'm not an automatic Doreen Virtue basher. You know, I know a lot of people go, oh, please. Yeah, you know, her Angel Tarot is fine. The Archangel Power Tarot is fine. I don't actually have any. The only one other Doreen Virtue deck I actually have, and I brought it up just for demonstration purposes, is the Cherub Angel. Cards for Children, because this is really lovely for working with your inner child, and I've been trying to do that recently. So this was the first deck I got to do that with while I was waiting to get my Delos Tarot, which I have now actually, and it's brilliant. I really like that, so that's quite fun. Yeah, you know, so, you know, there's a lot of, what is it, the dolphins and mermaids? No thanks. But, you know, I really like this. I like the images, you know, and we've got helpers, and guardians. There's a guardian of action. You know, interesting images for some of them. What else have we got? I've got messenger. We've done a messenger. Messenger. Oh, where are you other ones? Guardians, messengers, guardians, messengers, helpers. There we go. There's a helper. And there is another one as well, which I get the feeling is the Queen's, but healer. There we go. Healer. There's a healer of thought. So it's all a little bit different, and you know, different enough in a way that you can kind of let your intuition and your imagination have a bit of fun with it. So that was the deck that I got recently that surprised me. That, you know, I would even like it, the imagery and Doreen Virtue and, you know, all that sort of thing. And then, so as not to make it all just about that deck and Cassandra's deck, the other deck that surprised me for an entirely different reason is Tarot Balbi, which, if you've been following me, you know I've been sort of raving about this deck for a while. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I mean, so the opposite of what I just showed you. You know, really bold images and bright colors and very angular. And this is an extremely, in my opinion, masculine deck. And to the point where, I mean, I actually had personality issues with this deck, and that was a surprise. I chose to use this deck exclusively for, well, I was going to do it for 2 weeks, and then I ended up doing it for a month, and then I ended up doing it for more than a month. But the weird thing was, the longer I used this deck, the more, how can I explain it, possessive it seemed to become. I would just get the most peculiar, aggressive readings from it. So I wasn't reading for other people. I wasn't reading about things in general. I was doing personal daily draws and introspection type stuff, and it just seemed to get really kind of up close and personal and in my face in a way. And coming towards the end of the time when I wanted to continue working with it, when I wanted to start using something else, I got some really stroppy readings from the decks, like, how dare you, you belong to me, sort of thing. To the point where literally I decided, right, that's quite enough of that, my man. And I basically put the deck on the naughty step, and I haven't used it for months now. It sits nearby, and I chat to it occasionally because I'm weird like that. Let's not even go there. But I haven't used it. I've never had a reaction like, I mean, I've had decks, that I feel have a particular personality, funny decks, comforting decks, motherly decks, blah, blah, blah. But this is the only one that has come across as having a real aggressive, almost, personality. It's quite funny. So, I mean, I still love it. It hasn't put me off, but I'm going to be a bit more cautious about how and when I use it. And that's it, really. That's my 2 decks anyway, 2 tarot decks that surprised me. I would probably have some other oracle decks that I could add to the list, but I don't want to dilute this. This was tarot, and I'm going to stick to tarot. So yeah, I'll put the links to what I've talked about in the box below. and go in search of other ones. I hope some other people would do this one, because I'd be interested to see what actually surprises other people about their decks. So take care. Lovely to see you all again, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.